Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And today, I was struggling. I'm not gonna lie, I was struggling to find something to react to. And lo and behold, the stalker delivered. I was literally wanting to talk about former fat or something with that. And I found it. It appeared on my algo, and what can I say? I'm an amazing girly pop. I did it. I was saved. So, although this person that I'm reacting to is very insufferable, I appreciate this person today. I do. So, about to get a little bit of shit up in here. You guys ready? You ready? Just kidding. I don't even know if people talk like that. I'm losing touch. I've lost it a little. I don't know. I've lost it. I'm a little rusty. I'm sorry. I haven't been reacting to enough Britishy lately. But anyways, let's go ahead. Although I did just react to Compulsive Rambler. Compulsive Rambler. I did. Be sure to check that out if you're interested in the happenings behind Nida. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and go for it. Let's go.
Should we normalise calling out people that are fat for being fat? For context, I've lost over 7 stone.
What have I told you about former fats? Time and time again. They're just telling on themselves. This is ridiculous. Firstly, we don't have to normalise being rude to fat people. That is very normal. That is scarily, horribly normal. So, let's not worry about normalising it. Don't panic. Your side's winning. Don't shit yourself. This is where the argument that it's for a fat person's health just really falls down, because the most damaging thing you can do to someone's health is shame them. Weight stigma is so bad for people's health. It makes people die young. Stigma. Not weight, not actually being fat. Weight stigma kills people. It makes them die younger. It makes them have worse health outcomes. So if you're saying you want to make people feel bad for their health, that is absolutely the opposite. That's the opposite. It would be like finding your kid smoking and you don't want them to smoke, so you make them smoke the whole packet, and then you buy them a packet a day for the rest of their lives to stop them from smoking. And that is quite a mixed up metaphor. It's not my best work, but it's accurate, because the idea behind shaming people for their weight or their health is as mixed up and as stupid. That is not, you're not doing anyone any favors. Please don't act as though you're helping anyone. To me, this is just someone who wants to feel better about being thin. And I've watched a couple of those guys videos now because they keep coming on my feed, and this is someone who is not happy. This is someone who has
I should follow him.
Talks quite a lot about how difficult it is to change your mindset after you've lost weight, because the confidence doesn't just rush in. Sorry that you put the work and the effort into the wrong thing. But should all fat people suffer because of that? Because you're feeling sore because you didn't get what was promised to you? This is why, I'm someone who's been thin before, not for a long time. And I know it doesn't heal all wounds and it doesn't make you healthy. But making other fat people or currently fat people feel shamed isn't going to help you. I'm just angry, a bit tired. And I'm right. No, we don't need to normalise shaming fat people. What we need to do is normalise leaving people alone when they're fat. Except for the times we want to lick their butts and stuff.
Should we know?
Okay. God. Okay. Gosh, what do I even say? Firstly, I want to say that was horrible to get through. I don't know what is going on. There's always something going on with me. You gotta know, there's always something. Okay. So that's something I've learned about myself, is with me, there's always something going on at every size. It doesn't matter. I love the average era because it shows you what has nothing to do with your weight. it shows you issues that have nothing to do with your weight. And then you can actually like work on them. And it also shows you things about yourself. Like, for example, there's always something going on with me. So what's my new thing? My new thing is I feel restless again for some reason. I'm probably just bored. I don't know. Maybe it's more than boredom, but it's like a restless, insatiable, fast. Like I feel like I want to do everything fast again, which is weird. I'm tired right now. This is me tired. So, but I've been kind of like going crazy all week. Not really crazy, but you know what I mean. Which one of y'all on the grams, on Instagram, because I said I was restless, one of you guys responded to my story and you were like, please crash out. Don't tell me to crash out. It happens often enough. I just did. It happens all the time. It's like, gosh, at this point, it's like it's just another day of my life. Like, what even is a crash out at this point? No, I'm just kidding. No, there's just always something. There's always something going on, and I don't know why I'm restless. I think it's like the post-anhedonia restlessness. I don't think it has anything to do with my weight. That's why I don't talk about it that much. But the point is, it was horrible to get through that. I was dying. That was my whole point. Listening to him, I felt like time stood still. I felt like I was holding my breath because he's so horrifically boring. And he talks slow, and I get it. I used to be a slow-talking girly pop. I was tired. I was deep in a vanity era. It was tough. I'm not gonna lie. I was fucking tired. So sue me. I still showed up. People hated on me for it. It is what it is. But again, now I'm just like, you know. So I get it. I'm impatient too now. Maybe y'all were impatient. Maybe you guys were feeling like I feel right now. I don't know. But I get it. It's my karma. This is like a karmic moment. I don't know. That was painful. As far as the overall sentiment, I don't know what his whole point was. So I can't really comment on it. Maybe I can. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if he linked it or anything. But let's go ahead and try to rewatch it.
Normalize calling out people that are fat for being fat. For context, I've lost over.
Okay, so he wants to call out people for being fat. I don't know what that looks like. So I would be curious, like, what do you mean? Like, is it like, hey, fat ass? Or is it like, don't you think you might need to downsize a bit? You know, something like that. Like, what are we talking about? I don't know. Which, I'll be honest, there's probably a little bit of a cultural difference. I'm not sure what that would mean. You know, I know here it's like, oh my God, don't even say that. You're a horrible person. You're really mean. You're terrible. Like, especially since downsizing. Now, if I say anything, I'm so mean and horrible and the worst or whatever. But again, I always was. So, no, I'm just kidding. Well, I told y'all. I got two modes, tired and bitch. And I was just tired, and now I'm going back to bitch. It is what it is, and everybody is always shocked when I go from tired to bitch. How can you be so shocked? I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm just kidding. People aren't that shocked. I'm being dramatic. But it's like, I'm clearly in cycles. I don't know. I feel like it's predictable now. Shouldn't you all get it by now? Shouldn't you just know? Shouldn't you just be like, It's a new month. Alex has to change everything again. It's a new day. Alex is different. Shouldn't you just know that? Anyways.
Over 7 stone.
What have I told you about former fat?
Oh my God, we're just the worst. We're the most horrible people in the world. We're so mean and nasty and horrible and terrible and hateful and we're jealous, but insecure, but we think we're better than you at the same time, right? It's all of it. We're everything and anything. We're your demon, we're your angel, we're all of it. And I don't even know. Like, I try sometimes. Like, I think a lot about like the social expectations that are put on me. I do that often throughout the journey and throughout like the activism and all that stuff. And it's like people expect the most contradictory, weirdest things all the time. And it's like, I feel like it's so important to understand, like, I think just in general, like, you can't please everybody, or you can't, like, especially like with what I do, like as an activist, I speak out against E fall by letter D. And so I could literally be perfect and people would still have a problem, because the people that don't like what I'm doing, because I'm very aggressive against E fall by letter D logic, so they don't like what I'm doing. They're very nitpicky and they're very insecure, and they carry a lot of like fault finding behaviors. So for me, it's like I really don't have any incentive to try to act a different way, because it won't matter, honestly. And a lot of people are like, whoa, what? Or that's crazy, or oh my gosh, like you should be trying to cater to something, you know what I mean? Like people have that opinion, but it never works. It doesn't work. So my advice is to always be yourself. Like if you do speak up against this stuff, be yourself, because people are gonna find fault in you no matter what, especially if they have those issues, because they're always finding faults in themselves. So it's like, don't like try to please it. Don't try to please zombies. You know, I feel like I try to say that so much. And I say that to you guys in your lives too. Don't try to please people in the issue, because you can't. It's impossible. Like, the only way you can please them is if you reinforce their issue. That's it, which I don't advise. And I'm not going to support that. So, I'm just not.
Time and time again, they're just telling on themselves this is ridiculous. Firstly, we don't have to normalize being rude to fat people. That is very normal. That is scarily, horribly normal.
So I don't know how it is there. Maybe, I doubt it though, to be honest. I think he's probably super exaggerating. Here, oh my gosh. It's like practically the opposite here. It's like worship the ground that a class 1 obese person walks upon. You know, it's like literally almost the opposite. But no, I'm just kidding. That's too dramatic. I would say it depends. Like with anything, I think it depends on the social context. It depends on the environment that you're in. But I feel like it's about as accepting as it's ever been. Put it to you that way. Especially towards class 1 obese. So what they would consider probably like a small fat or maybe a mid-size by American standard. It's very accepted. And it's still not enough. It's never going to be enough. It's never, you know. I think for me, at this point, this type of argument is so dumb, but it's very convincing to a lot of people. So sometimes I feel conflicted about stuff when I talk about it, because I think it's so stupid to focus on these social things when it comes to weight. It's so like not important at all to the conversation. And I understand that a lot of times they are talking to younger people, I am talking to younger people. So I really try, but especially since I've been doing a lot of grounding work and I've been very rooted or becoming more and more rooted with time, it's like I live more and more in reality, and I see like how pointless a lot of their arguments are. But I understand that other people still put a lot of weight in it. So I feel like conflicted sometimes as an activist, because I guess my question to you is, if this really matters to you from like a social perspective, please answer why it matters more than your health. Why does it matter more than your physical health? Why does your social standing or something, like, I don't know, supposedly it's so bad to be fat socially, so that doesn't even make sense. Like, if you really think about it, why do they advocate to be, they literally advocate to be in both a physically bad state and a socially bad state? I don't get it. I've always told you guys, I feel like a lot of the social benefits of downsizing are exaggerated. I feel like the only people that have like massive thin privilege are like, it's like an extreme, it's like people who already are very charismatic or who are already perceived as super nice. I feel like if you're not, then there really isn't that much of like a social benefit, because a lot of times there's more of a fault finding quality to it. So it's like, I feel like if anything, there's more of a social incentive to gain, honestly. So basically, I feel like he's gaslighting. That's what I think. And I think that's the reason why that person who has downsized is saying we should provide social pressure to downsize, because there's such a lack of it, or there's actually reverse social incentives in society, particularly in the United States, although maybe he is witnessing it in the UK as well. I speak from a US perspective primarily. And so, yeah, there could be some differences there, but it's, it probably rhymes with the US, it's probably a little similar, a little bit. And so I just don't understand, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, how do people not see that? But I guess when you're fat, you just really don't. Especially if you've been fat for a very long time, it's like you cannot empathize with thin people at all. And I think that it's a very strange social divide in society. These are just my random thoughts. It's late. I'm all over the place. I told you guys. I'm always in some phase. I'm always going through something. I'm always this. I'm always that. Everything's always changing. That's just me. That's just me. This has nothing to do with downsizing. I can tell you that. That's just me. So I'm always up to something. I'm always doing something.
So, like, let's not worry about normalizing it. Like, don't panic. Your side's winning. Don't shit yourself. This is where the argument,
I don't know if I agree,
that it's for a fat person's health just really falls down. Because the most damaging thing you can do to someone's health is shame them. Wait.
I think lying to them is worse. I think lying is worse. I think encouraging delusion is worse. I think pushing people towards death is worse. I think enabling people's delusions is worse, especially in terms of toxic ritualistic behaviors, which is EFA by the letter D. If we enable that, encourage it actively, or reinforce it, that's worse for somebody's health than shame. It is. It really is. In fact, the only reason why shame would be bad is because shame can also reinforce the toxic ritualistic. But you don't have to shame somebody to reinforce them.
Stigma is so bad for people's health. It makes people die young.
Being obese is bad for people's health.
Stigma, not weight.
No, wait. Stigma is more subjective. It depends on time and place, and also your own subjective experience of it. Stigma is social, so it's more subjective. It's harder to track. If you feel stigmatized but you aren't, wouldn't you still have the same result? That happens all the time in the TR. People feel like people hate them because of their weight, even if they don't. And it can feel very real, but it doesn't mean it is. It's subjective. The mental health issues involved with the TR are very bad for people's health. It stresses you out. It's a part of these cycles and these physical things that you do that are very bad for your health. But the weight itself is a major issue, whether you're over or under what you should be. It's a major problem. Major problem.
Not actually being fat, weight stigma.
Being fat, being obese.
Kills people.
Obesity kills people.
Makes them die younger.
Obesity makes them die younger.
Makes them have worse health outcomes.
Obesity makes you have worse health outcomes.
So if you're saying you want to make people feel bad for their health, that is absolutely the opposite.
I think bringing it up as something that can be addressed and should be addressed isn't an issue, even repetitively. And people could say, oh my gosh, that's horrible, blah, blah, blah. But if you say it calmly, you have to say it like rationally and calmly, like don't make it a shouting match unless if somebody's like being really dumb about like a certain toxic ritualistic belief, like weight is genetic, for example. If somebody's like ready to go into a shouting match with you over weight is genetic, then go ahead and shout with them because it's not logical and it's really stupid. But if it's like bringing up the topic, like, hey, you can do something about this and you should. I'm just saying. That's not very acceptable in American society to do, by the way. It's kind of a radical thing. But I would say coming at it rationally, you have to remember to keep it calm. Because when people are anxious, their brain turns off, so they can't actually like hear you, So I do think it does require some empathy to the situation. But I think a lot of it is just about being calm about it. So much of the TR is about a fervence around the issue or anxiety around the issue. And so I think like taking that away, calming that down or grounding the conversation, I think is really helpful. I think that's super helpful.
That's the opposite. It would be like finding your kid smoking and you don't want them to smoke, so you make them smoke the whole packet and then you buy them a
This metaphor makes no sense.
packet a day for the rest of their lives to stop them from smoking. And that is quite a mixed up metaphor. It's not my best work.
It's horrible.
But
it's not accurate.
Accurate because the idea behind shaming people for their weight, for their health, is as mixed up and as stupid.
No. Again, I'm not like big on shaming, especially if somebody's in the TR. If somebody's not in the TR, it might actually work, but it's hard to tell, you know? Um, I would just certainly tread lightly if somebody's like morbidly obese or higher. It's like, it's a lot more likely they're going to be very sensitive about it. Somebody's class 1, it's a little different. So that can depend on the person. But again, it requires empathy and logic. Empathy to be able to read somebody and to read where they're at, and logic to be able to cut through the BS and ground it. Make it practical, and keep it calm.
You're not doing anyone any favors. Please don't act as though you're helping anyone. To me, this is just someone who wants to feel better about being thin. And
I don't even know what that means. Like, is being thin the best thing ever, or is it the worst thing ever? Like, they need to make a decision. I feel like fat acceptance in general needs to make a decision on this, because if being thin is so privileged and amazing, why would he have to come to terms with being thin? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense.
I've watched a couple of those guys' videos now because they keep coming on my feed, and this is someone who is not happy. This is someone who has lost lots of weight, talks quite a lot about how difficult it is to change your mindset
I should totally react to him.
after you've lost weight, because the confidence doesn't just rush in. Sorry.
I don't know if he's marketing, though. Sometimes people use that for marketing purposes, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but he could be MSP. He could have mid-sized princess energy, as I would call it on my channel. But that happens when you don't let go of fatness, when you're no longer fat. Or it's a problem. Or when you act like the downsizing was a trauma, which it's not. Downsizing is not traumatic at all. Like, it's almost laughable. Remember, the TR is, though. Important distinction with a huge difference. That is traumatic. And that can certainly be on the reductive side. Very traumatic. But again, they're not the same. They're not inherently connected, right? So I need to see like what he's saying or whatever that is so unhappy, or he has to come to terms with being thin or whatever.
Sorry that you put the work and the effort into the wrong thing. But should all fat people suffer because of that?
So as far as putting it into the wrong thing, I don't think it's the wrong thing. It's just not a full picture, and I think I have to talk about this at some point, but like within the context of my channel, I talk about like the Lana era, Lana style vanity versus Kesha style vanity, which is kind of like deep versus shallow, super locked in versus locked out, right? And I think a lot of people don't talk about what to do after you've locked in, like post Lana era, as I would call it on my channel, post deep Cal Def in vanity. You have to orient your whole life around it, and it's very difficult to shift gears after. And that's something that I have struggled with this year, is locking out or starting to get a life again post downsizing, trying to get things moving, right? All that kind of stuff. It takes time. And I still have to do like a lot of spiritual work that has nothing to do with my weight, which, holy crap, but it doesn't. So it's like, there's a lot of things that I work on nowadays that have nothing to do with my weight. And I think I don't think about it that much at all. And I think that people don't want to let go of the problem, which is very mid-sized princess energy too. Or they don't want to let go of like thinking about your weight as a problem or thinking about the fact that you've lost it or whatever. Like, again, I hardly ever think about it now, which is so weird. I think about everything else. I think about things in my life. I think about, figuring out, I think about my activism, right? So I think about, like, what do I do after I've made the point? I'm in a different place today than I was a year ago, I don't have the intensity in my activism that I did a year ago because it was so important for me to become thin visibly. And that has happened. So with that comes a rebalancing too. So it's also like work-life balance. It's also like relational balance. It's attachment style work, but it's not just my own attachment style. It is in working with somebody else's. Mr. Jordy. It's a different stage, right? It's working within an interaction. Because I think a lot of people, they forget that a lot of stuff you cannot fix alone. There are things you have to work on or fix with others. And part of that is like post downsizing too. Like, you can't create a life sitting in your room, like I make sure I go out. Like I'm just like I said, I'm with my family all the time, but I make sure like I visit my cousin every week and I see her and her baby, and we talk about things, and I try to see a horror movie like every single week. I try to, I have my day off where I just chill and I spend time with my grandma and stuff, and I try to balance more time at home, and like I'm trying to find a balance, and I'm trying to talk more with friends and get back into being social and that kind of stuff, and talking about things outside of activism. So that's all stuff that you guys don't see very much of because I don't know how relevant it is. But it's been going on all year, Some of it you guys have seen. And then there's other things that I have to let go of, like, that I don't necessarily want to talk about. But I guess I could mention it. I hate to mention it because I don't really like to talk about it, but like I recently quit corn, for example. So some of my anhedonia in May is from that, and that's because like it's a part of my spiritual growth. Like, it's not grounded, and it doesn't help my attachment style work. It just doesn't, because it's a huge incentive to be more avoidant, and I don't want to. I want to face things with Mr. Jordy, and I want to move forward. So I let that go. But there has been some physical withdrawal from it in May, and it's like, that's outside of weight loss. You see, that's outside of that. So I think people don't think about their whole life. They don't think about the whole picture, They don't. They don't think about how that affects, and that could be part of why I'm restless now. You see, so like I said, I'm always going through something, right? It's because I'm always improving. I'm always striving. I'm always going for something. And people will hate you for that, but I don't really give a fuck. I just don't. I mean, people, I think can get resentful about seeing ambition in another person that they don't have. And all I have to tell you is it's within you. I'm not holding you back. Nobody's holding you back unless somebody's actively trying to, but you don't have to listen to them. You have that inside of you too, you know? And I'm not sitting here judging everybody. I have to focus on my own shit. I'm focused on myself, my own growth. So, I don't know. I think there is a point to that. There's a point to what he's saying. I do think people don't think about things holistically. I do. I do personally think about things holistically, and all those issues, they don't have to do with my weight. You see? So I don't talk about it, but just because I don't talk about it as much doesn't mean that it's not happening. It doesn't mean it's not something I'm doing or going through or growing through. And that is a difficult process, and it's definitely something I will talk about activistically, getting a life, you know, basically, or filling in all those gaps. I'm just at a different point in my life. It's different. And I think allowing changes to happen is so important after downsizing, because you have to reintegrate into your life fully, or your maintenance is at risk. And also, if you're too unsatisfied with where you're at because you're not working on anything else, that I think is also going to put it at risk. I know I'll be okay. I'm working hard. I work hard. And I've loved my spiritual journey. I think it's been something really special that I started in August, and I've really changed, which is crazy. But again, that's outside of downsizing, right? But it's not separated from it. I do think it was part of it. But anyways, I digress.
Because you're feeling sore because you didn't get what was promised to you. This is why, I mean, I'm someone who's been thin before, not for a long time.
Yeah, and you probably didn't do anything that I'm talking about. You probably stayed really unrealistic in your life. You probably didn't balance anything. You probably didn't, you know? And so you upsized. You're the exact case that I don't want to be. Sorry, not sorry. But when people talk about maintaining is so much harder than downsizing, it's because they don't do all this stuff. You don't fill in your life. I'm filling it in. You need to as well. I've told you all, start doing this shit in the mid phase. You start it then. You get to work now. Okay?
And I know it doesn't.
When you are mid-sized, you start balancing. Then you start making a plan for maintenance. Then, when you no longer are motivated by crisis, or when you're no longer dealing with resistance-based downsizing, you need to fill in those gaps in your life. You need to start working on that. Start thinking of what's next. It's a super important phase of the journey. And the earlier you start, the better, you know, with that type of stuff.
Heal all wounds, and it doesn't make you healthy.
Oh, that's not true. It definitely improves your physical health. That's Delulu.
But like making other fat people or currently fat people feel shamed isn't going to help you. I'm just angry, a bit tired. And I'm right. I'm right.
I don't know. I think that depends on the person. I know that's bad to say, but I have to be real. I think rejecting fat logic or certain mindsets or TR mindsets, bingo mindsets, replace the O with an E. I think rejecting all of that, maybe not making it about the person, but rejecting all those things can be helpful in a downsizing journey.
No, we don't need to normalize shaming fat people. What we need to do is normalize leaving people.
Think of the logic. Shame the logic, shame the statements, shame the lifestyle choices, right? Like shame the behaviors, I think is better.
Alone when they're fat. Except for the times we want to like lick their butts and stuff.
Should we
God. No comment on that. I just can't. When that guy was on the screen, I can't go there. I can't even think about anything in that context because that part of my brain is completely shut off from listening to him. That's all I'm going to say. That part of my brain, that part of my body, everything. I'm like completely icked and cold fish after listening to him. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.